Hi everyone, welcome back. Today, we're discussing a heartbreaking case from Houston, where a community is grieving the loss of a young college student. A 21-year-old woman named Muna Panday, a student at Houston Community College, was tragically found shot to death in her apartment. Originally from Nepal, Muna was studying to become a nurse. Her body was discovered about a week ago, with multiple gunshot wounds, including a fatal shot to the back of her head, which investigators described as execution style. It was the staff at Muna's apartment complex who first found her body after receiving an anonymous tip from a man who made a call without revealing his identity. The caller simply said there was a dead body in the apartment and then hung up. Detectives believe that Muna knew her killer because there were no signs of forced entry, and the door was unlocked when the apartment manager checked on her. According to court documents, Muna's friends told the investigators that she had been dealing with a stalker about a year before her death. This concern led her to install a motion-activated camera outside her front door, hoping it would help protect her. That very camera ended up capturing her suspected killer, 51-year-old Bobby Singh Shaw, as he entered her apartment with a gun. Shaw was arrested within hours during a traffic stop after the security footage was released. He has been charged with capital murder, and a judge has denied him bond. When police entered Muna's apartment, they found her lying on her bed, shot multiple times, including a gunshot wound to her head. A disturbing scene as described by the officers with evidence of the brutal nature of the crime. Friends shared more details about Muna's background. She was living alone with her family based in Nepal and Dubai. They also confirmed that the stalker issue from the previous year had seemed to resolve after Muna installed the security camera. At the time, they thought she was safe, but sadly, this wasn't the case. While the stalker's identity wasn't revealed in the court documents, it's believed that the footage from the camera will be key in bringing justice for Muna. Houston police are confident that the camera caught the killer in action. The probable cause statement provides chilling details of the incident. At around 8:40 p.m. on August 24, 2024, Muna was seen standing at her apartment door with the suspect, Bobby Shaw. Shaw, wearing a blue shirt and khaki pants, was holding a black pistol in his hand. Muna was holding a few items, including a Nike shoebox, a shopping bag, and a black purse. Shaw reportedly told Muna to open the door several times, and when she hesitated, he loaded his gun in front of her. Fearing for her life, Muna complied and unlocked the door. Shaw then forced his way inside and locked the door behind them. About an hour later, Shaw was seen leaving the apartment, this time carrying Muna's black purse. Around the same time, a neighbor heard loud noises coming from the apartment, which they now believe were the sounds of Muna's final moments. After the security footage was made public, two individuals contacted the police, identifying Shaw as the man in the video. One was a restaurant owner who recognized him as a regular customer. Another tip came from a woman who had known Shaw for over a decade, having first met him through a sugar daddy website in 2012. She instantly recognized him from the surveillance image. Although investigators have yet to find any direct link between Muna and Shaw or any involvement with the sugar daddy website, they continue to search for a motive behind the murder. In a final, tragic note, Muna's friends have started a GoFundMe campaign to bring her mother from Nepal to the United States and to cover funeral expenses. According to them, Muna was an only child, making this loss even more devastating for her family. The discovery of Muna Panday's body, with multiple gunshot wounds and a fatal shot to the back of her head, tells a chilling story of rage. According to experts, when a killer uses multiple shots, especially an execution-style one, it suggests deep anger and hatred toward the victim. Whether this anger built up over time or was triggered by something specific, it's clear that this wasn't a random act of violence. While investigators aren't sure which shot came first or last, the brutality of the execution-style killing speaks volumes. Muna was found lying on her bed, but it's unclear if she was shot there or placed afterward. This is something detectives are still piecing together from the crime scene. What is certain, however, is the immense level of anger directed at Muna in those final moments. Houston detectives received a strange call from a man with no caller ID. The man simply stated that someone was dead in a specific apartment and then hung up. There's a possibility that this mysterious caller could have been the killer himself. Police are now working to trace the phone call through technical means such as cell site tracking to see if they can link it to the suspect, Bobby Shaw. Surveillance footage played a major role in piecing together this case. Muna's security camera allegedly caught Bobby Shaw forcing his way into her apartment with a gun. Shortly after the footage was released, tips started pouring in, with people recognizing Shaw from the images. Had it not been for Muna's foresight in installing a camera, his arrest may have taken longer. The police were able to act quickly thanks to the public's help, which often proves crucial in solving cases like these. Authorities believe Muna knew Shaw, given there were no signs of forced entry into her apartment. From a detective's perspective, this detail is significant. If Muna opened the door willingly, it implies that she recognized Shaw or at least didn't see him as an immediate threat. Investigators are still working to understand why Shaw showed up at Muna's apartment at that particular time. These questions form a critical part of the ongoing investigation, even after Shaw's arrest. Muna had confided in her friends and loved ones about a stalker who had been bothering her about a year before her death. After the installation of a security camera, the stalker seemed to disappear. This raises the question of whether Shaw could have been that stalker, lying in wait until the right moment. While detectives are digging deeper into Muna's background to uncover any connections between her and Shaw, this chilling detail adds another layer to the mystery. Muna's tragic death is a reminder of how quickly lives can be torn apart by violence. With so many unanswered questions, investigators continue to work tirelessly to bring justice for her. Was this just a coincidence? Given that Muna was at her residence, it's hard to believe that it was. Investigators need to examine every aspect of the situation. As a detective, it's important to keep an open mind, considering all possibilities. The totality of the circumstances will ultimately reveal the truth about Muna's relationship with Bobby Shaw. They will likely look into both Muna and Shaw's computers, phone records, and any other forensic or technological evidence to uncover more about their connection. It's unclear how long this relationship existed. Maybe it started a year ago, but that's still part of the investigation. When asked why Bobby Shaw might have targeted Muna, it's still a big unknown. In most cases, there's some sort of connection between the perpetrator and the victim. Shaw was reportedly a customer at the restaurant where Muna worked, which may have led to something developing between them. There were also claims that Muna was identified on a sugar daddy website, which Shaw might have been aware of. Detectives will need to see where the evidence leads to figure out the nature of their relationship. One unusual detail is that Muna's cell phone was missing from her apartment when the authorities searched it. For someone in her 20s who lived alone, not having a phone is highly suspicious. The killer might have taken the phone to hide evidence, especially if it contained proof of a connection between Muna and Shaw. It's also possible the phone was taken as a trophy, a disturbing habit some killers have. Despite taking the phone, Shaw's attempts to cover his tracks won't stop the investigation. Detectives already tried to make contact with the phone, and when they couldn't, it raised even more questions. The anonymous caller who reported a dead body in Muna's apartment is another piece of the puzzle. Could this caller have been the killer? It's possible the person who made the call was trying to clear their conscience, feeling guilt for what they had done. It's also possible that the killer was playing a twisted game by alerting the police, then hanging up to see what would happen next. When someone calls with specific details about a crime scene, it raises suspicions. Detectives hope to analyze any recordings of the call to see if they can match the voice to Bobby Shaw or anyone connected to him. This case is still an active investigation. Detectives won't stop after making an arrest. Their job is to gather enough evidence for a conviction. In cases like this, they continue searching for any forensic evidence, such as DNA, left at the scene by the killer. Even with an arrest, the work continues to build a strong case for court. Authorities are definitely looking into cell phone records and issuing search warrants to gather more information. It's highly likely they are also searching for any computers Muna might have had. She probably owned a laptop, and if it's missing, it could be a crucial piece of evidence. Detectives will explore every possible avenue to find a connection between Muna and the perpetrator, ensuring they gather enough solid evidence. It's important to remember that in the American criminal justice system, Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Even if there's video evidence, a suspect can always deny involvement, so detectives need more than just footage. They need every piece of the puzzle to build a complete picture, and the totality of the circumstances will eventually lead to the truth. There was also a traffic stop where a firearm was found. If shell casings were left at the crime scene, detectives will definitely run ballistic tests to see if they match the gun that was found. It's still uncertain what kind of weapon was used, a revolver which doesn't leave casings or an automatic which does. If shell casings were left, it's possible the killer tried to clean up the scene, as it seems they spent a considerable amount of time there. The entire apartment will undergo a detailed forensic review, from the front door to every corner inside. Statements from Muna's loved ones will also play an important role. While they may not have witnessed the crime, they might have information about Muna's potential connection with the defendant. Any detail, no matter how small, could provide valuable insights. Detectives will take those statements seriously and work to verify them. If a loved one mentioned Muna knew the suspect, detectives will try to pinpoint where and when that connection was made. They will cross-check times, locations, and other facts to see if they can corroborate these statements with any available evidence, such as surveillance footage. As a detective, I've seen many heartbreaking cases, but it's always devastating to speak with the families of victims. In Muna's case, being an only child adds to the tragedy. I can't imagine the pain her mother must be going through, especially knowing that her daughter moved across international borders to build a better life. Now, her mother is trying to get a visa to come to the US to bury her child. If that can't happen soon, perhaps things will be expedited to allow her the chance to say goodbye. The best thing detectives can do for the family is to work tirelessly on the case. Keeping them informed, while not always sharing specific details, helps show that they haven't been forgotten. Families often feel left out during investigations, but it's essential to keep them updated as much as possible. Even after an arrest, the work continues, and detectives must ensure they have enough evidence for a conviction. Justice isn't always straightforward. Convicting someone doesn't necessarily provide all the answers the family needs. But as detectives, we do our best to help bring closure by being thorough and compassionate throughout the process. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add about this case? I hope this case reaches the proper conclusion. Detectives are committed to leaving no stone unturned, and given the urgency and attention this case is receiving, I believe they will do everything they can to deliver justice. Houston PD has been facing many challenges, but this is their opportunity to show that they are doing the right thing for victims and their families. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more shocking and compelling stories ahead.